Mr. John Tankle and his wife Rose Tankle, the owners of a private hotel, are waiting for a guest to check in. Study the example and questions 1 to 6. For each question, there are 4 pictures. Decide which of the pictures best corresponds to what you hear on the tape. Circle the letter under that picture. The first one has been done for you as an example. First, you have some time to read the questions. Now, listen to the conversation. Hello, Evergreen Hotel, can I help you?
Yes, good afternoon. I wonder if you have a single room with a private bathroom for tonight, please.
Let me just check. Single room with private bathroom just for tonight. Yes, we have a vacancy. Would you like to make a booking?
No, I'll come around now if that's okay. What's the address, please?
239 Smith Street.
I'll just write that down. 239 Smith Street. OK, I'll see you in about 30 minutes.
Goodbye. John, we've got a guest coming. We can put her in number 8.
Dear me, it's getting dark earlier and earlier. What time is it, Rose?
4:30.
Oh, that Mr. Lieber should be checking in soon, shouldn't he?
He said in his letter that his flight was due in at 3:10 and that he'd be coming straight here from the airport. By the time he gets here, it'll probably be 5:30. There's a lot of traffic at this time of day. Wait a minute, there's someone coming in now.
Hello, good to see you. You must be Mr. Lieber. How was your flight?
Not too bad. Once I've had a shower and a shave, though, I'll be a different person.
Hello, Mr. Lieber. You got in earlier than expected. It's just gone 4:30.
Yes, well, the traffic wasn't too bad. My flight came in 15 minutes earlier as well.
And that's the TV lounge over there. Now, breakfast is at 8 and dinner at 6. Well, here's the key to your room. I think you'll like it. Number 7's on the first floor, next door to the bar. It's got a lovely view. It looks onto the lake and the park.
Oh, by the way, I'm expecting somebody over in about 20 minutes. As soon as I've unpacked, I'll come downstairs. So could you tell him that I'll be waiting in the TV lounge?
Yes, certainly.
He's an Australian, a very tall man with glasses. You can't miss him.
I'll keep an eye open for him. Oh, by the way, will you be wanting an early morning alarm call?
Later that afternoon, after his meeting, Mr. Lieber asked Mrs. Tankle for street directions. As you listen, decide which picture best fits the information given. Hello, Mr. Lieber. Your visitor found you.
Yes, thanks. Listen, I have to get into town. Which is the best way to get to the city centre from here?
It's not very far at all. There's a taxi rank in the square just at the end of the street here, or you could even walk. It's about half an hour's walk, if you're not feeling too jet-lagged. There's a train service from Martin Street Station, but it'd take you about 15 minutes to get to the station from here. What part of the city do you want?
I need to get to the Australian consulate. Do you know where that is?
Let me have a look. Oh, right. Your best bet in that case would be the bus. There's a stop on the opposite side of this road. Can you see it? Just past that red coach. You can get off at the Grey Hall. It's, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 3 stops down. Better ask the conductor to tell you when you're there, just to be on the safe side. When you're at Grey Hall, just keep on walking to the end of the block. Turn left into MacDonald Street, and you'll see a big cinema on the right. The consulate's just opposite. You can't miss it.
Yeah. Opposite the cinema in McDonald Street. That sounds easy enough. Thanks very much. See you at dinner. 5:30, wasn't it?
Listen carefully to the following talk and choose the correct answer for each question.
When the Europeans first came to the American continent more than 400 years ago, there were relatively few diseases and viruses on the new continent. During that time, however, plagues and diseases that killed thousands were floating around Europe. Eventually, some Europeans developed immunity to the unsanitary world of industrialization. When they came to the American continent, however, many of the Native Americans had never been exposed to these viruses and hence did not develop immunity to them. By sharing the same food and water sources, many Native Americans contracted the European diseases. At a time when medical vaccines were still in their early stages, this led to the tragic death of thousands. The Native Americans gradually developed immunity to these diseases and were able to interact with the new explorers and colonists. They traded everyday items with each other, which led to the hybridization of these two cultures. One enterprising European colonist had an interesting idea. Why not create a trading post where the two groups could sell their newly combined works of art? Eventually, a post was set up, and the distinctly American works became known throughout the country for their unique styles. The trading post continued for a couple more decades until it eventually faded away. The works of that time period can now be seen at the Smithsonian National Museum. Until very recently, some tribes were still making pieces of art and selling them in their local trading posts.
Now turn to Section 2. Section 2. You are going to hear a lecture given by a counselor. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 15. Now listen to the tape and answer questions 11 to 15.
Hi, I am your counselor for this year. Today, we will visit the facilities available to you on our campus. As students, you should take advantage of everything you have available to you. How many of you like sports? Well, I hope most of you do, because our school has great sports facilities. We have an indoor gym with state-of-the-art equipment. First, I want to tell you about our basketball facilities. There are 2 basketball courts. Both are full court and open for student use. We offer basketball leagues that all students are invited to join. Just sign up with a team. Usually, there are games on the courts, but during league time, only the teams are allowed to use the courts. The basketball courts are open 24 hours a day. If you want a job, you can be a referee at the games. Next, I want to tell you about the tennis facilities. We have 5 tennis courts available for student use. The tennis courts are open every day, 8 a.m. until 10 in the evening. You should call ahead to reserve a court because they are very popular and can often be booked weeks in advance. There are rackets and balls available for rent at the front desk of the courts. There is an Olympic-sized swimming pool that is open for students and the general public. There are also showers and locker rooms available. The swimming pool is open every day, 9 a.m. until 7 in the evening. There are openings for the position of lifeguards, so if you are looking for a job in the sun, this might be good for you.
Now look at questions 16 to 20. Now listen to the tape and answer questions 16 to 20.
There are also 2 weight rooms and a gymnastics room. The weight rooms have all the standard equipment available. Please check with the gym to see the open hours because they vary from time to time. The gymnastics room is usually not open for individual users because there are almost always classes held in the room. However, if you are interested, you may sign up for gymnastics classes. Plus, if you like martial arts and boxing, we offer classes for everyone, from beginners to advanced students. Please check the schedule for availability. There is everything available, from Chinese wushu to Brazilian wrestling. I will talk for a brief moment about our library system. Our campus has 3 libraries available to undergraduate students, 1 additional graduate library and 1 faculty library. The libraries are open daily until midnight except for during testing periods, when the libraries will be open 24 hours. Please look on a map to see where the libraries are located. All students with a valid ID can check out books, with a maximum of 10 books at a time. Books can be checked out for a 2-week period and then renewed for 1 month maximum. After that, there is a $1 fine per week that the book is overdue. I will repeat that. There is a hefty $1 fine per week. So it is a good idea to return books on time. If you lose a book, then you will have to repay the library for it, plus a fine. If you damage a book, most likely you will have to repay the value of the book. So please, enjoy the library facilities, but take care of the school's belongings. The library is also equipped with 200 computers for student use. They are all internet ready and available for use. You must sign up at the library for 1-hour time slots. You may sign up for up to 3 consecutive slots at a time. No one can use the computers without first signing in at the library. That is it for now. Thank you for your attention.
This is the end of Section 2. You now have 30 seconds to check your answers.
Now turn to Section 3. You are going to hear Dr. Joanne Robinson, the Course Director of a Language Learning Centre, answering questions from reporters from the student newspaper. First, look at questions 21 to 26. As you listen to the first part of the talk, answer questions 21 to 26. Write no more than 3 words or numbers for each answer.
Welcome to the Language Learning Center. I'm Joanne Robinson. You must be the reporters from the Examiner. Please come in and sit down.
Hello, Dr. Robinson. Yes, we're from the Examiner. I'm Cheryl Perkins and this is Don Klim. May I start with a question? Did this college really start with Brazilian students?
It did. The Language Learning Center was founded in 1985 to look after a group of students from Brazil who wanted to study here. Those 20 students soon grew to 60, and as you can imagine, we had severe accommodation problems.
Somebody said you were in the old amenities block, right near the engineering school.
They have a good memory. Yes, we were there because the university hadn't believed we would expand so quickly. The problem wasn't solved until we moved into these new premises in Bancroft House in 1987.
When did you start taking students from other countries?
About 1990. We now have students from 13 different countries enrolled, and we expect a large group from Turkey next month.
Yes, we've noticed a lot more advertisements for Turkish restaurants in our advertising section.
Well, 40% of our students come from Turkey, by far the largest single national group, and I believe there's been an influx to the rest of the university. There are a lot of Turkish students studying hospitality.
Do you offer anything special to the students?
Yes, we do. There are several things which make us rather different from other language schools. English is certainly not restricted to English for academic purposes here. Sometimes we have extra classes for students who have particular courses in mind. And we have just said goodbye to a group of 30 Indonesian students who were preparing for a university course in agriculture. They came to us for English for farming, and they were with us for a long time. We miss them.
How long do students usually stay at the Language Learning Centre?
It varies, so I'll talk about the average. Most of our courses last for 5 weeks, but to make any real progress, a student needs to be here for at least 3 terms. That's 15 weeks. The students do better if they have a little time to settle in at the beginning of the course, and we offer an orientation course that lasts a week. Most students take it. It helps them to settle down, and it gives us plenty of time to test them and place them at the right level.
How many people are in each class?
We sometimes go up to 18, but our average class size is 14 students, and some classes have as few as 7 participants. It depends on the needs of the group.
You were saying that you miss your students when they go. How do you attract students? I mean, how do they hear about the Language Learning Centre in the first place?
We're included in the university advertising and marketing, and we have our own website. The thing which works best for us, though, is word of mouth. Students who leave us often send us their friends. In fact, a student who arrived today was carrying a photograph for me of a former student and his baby.
It sounds like a nice place to be.
It is. A lot of our students make lasting friendships while they're here.
Now look at questions 27 to 31. As the talk continues, answer questions 27 to 31.
Making friends with other students sounds special enough. I'd like to emphasise that in the student newspaper.
We do try to get our students to be part of the wider university.
How do you do that? Do you encourage them to join the sports centre, for instance?
Indeed we do. The sports centre is always looking for active participants, particularly in soccer. Oh, and something else. You might like to mention that we don't teach just English here. I mean, we're a language centre, not an English language centre. You may learn Spanish, Mandarin, and Russian here, and we can sometimes offer other languages. This means we can have some students who are native speakers of those languages as conversation partners for English-speaking students.
Who can do these courses?
At this stage, any native speaker of English.
What about the people who are learning English? Can they do a non-English language course?
At this time, only if they've almost finished their English language course. You see, we try very hard to involve students who are native speakers of English as conversation leaders, and we encourage our students to join groups on the campus. For instance, if they enjoy music, there is an active jazz group available to everyone, and that's a lot of fun. On the other hand, elementary students can't go to the drama group. Their English just isn't ready for that sort of activity. But the university choir welcomes all the singers it can find. They often do large productions that need a lot of voices.
I imagine the special conversation groups are open to all your students.
I wish they were. I'm sorry to say they're a special service we provide for elementary students only. Is there anything else I can tell you? I'd be really pleased if you could write about the courses we offer in foreign languages.
I think our readers will be very interested in that. Thank you for your time, Dr. Robinson.
Yes, thank you very much.
Goodbye. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about the center. It's always good to let the rest of the students at the university know what goes on in our classrooms and outside them. After all, many of our students leave us and then study for degrees in various disciplines on this campus.
That is the end of section 3. You will now have some time to check your answers.
Now turn to Section 4. Section 4. You will hear part of an Earth Sciences lecture. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 36. Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 36.
Good morning and welcome to this Earth Sciences lecture. We've been looking recently at such phenomena as earthquakes, tsunami, volcanic eruptions and other natural occurrences. Today we're going to look at a lesser known feature of the Earth, which is known as the supervolcano. As the name implies, this is a volcano of a much larger size than what we normally imagine a volcano to be. The term supervolcano has no specifically defined scientific meaning. It is used to refer to volcanoes that have generated Earth's largest volcanic eruptions. As such, a supervolcano would be one that has produced an exceedingly large, catastrophic, explosive eruption and a giant caldera. A caldera being the gigantic crater that the eruption creates. Whereas normal volcano craters are measured in the hundreds of meters, a caldera can easily be as large as 40 or 50 miles wide. Around the world there are several volcanic areas that can be considered supervolcanoes, such as Long Valley in eastern California, Toba in Indonesia, and Lake Taupo in New Zealand. There are also other large calderas in Japan, Indonesia, Scotland and Alaska. Not all the calderas are active though. Normal volcanoes are formed by a column of magma rising from deep within the earth, erupting on the surface and hardening in layers down the sides. This forms the familiar cone-shaped mountain we associate with volcanoes. Supervolcanoes, however, begin life when magma rises from the Earth's mantle to create a boiling reservoir in the Earth's crust. This chamber increases to an enormous size, building up colossal pressure until it finally erupts. An explosion like this could send ash, dust and sulfur dioxide into the atmosphere, reflecting the sun's rays and creating a cold wave lasting several years. Crops in many areas would fail, and many species of animals and plants, including humans, would face extinction. The most recent caldera-forming eruption in the US was about 650,000 years ago in the northeast United States. During that eruption, ground-hugging flows of hot volcanic ash, pumice and gases swept across an area of more than 3,000 square miles. The eruption also shot a column of volcanic ash and gases high into the Earth's stratosphere. This volcanic cloud circled the globe many times and affected the Earth's climate by reducing the intensity of solar radiation reaching the lower atmosphere and surface. Fine volcanic ash that fell downwind from the eruption site blanketed much of North America. This ash layer is still preserved in deposits as far away as Iowa, where it is a few inches thick, and the Gulf of Mexico, where it is recognizable in drill cores from the sea floor.
You now have some time to look at questions 37 to 40. Now listen to the rest of the lecture and answer questions 37 to 40.
It is little known that lying underneath one of the United States' largest and most picturesque national parks, Yellowstone Park, is one of the largest supervolcanoes in the world. Volcanic activity began in the Yellowstone National Park region about 2 million years ago. Magma rising from deep within the Earth has produced 3 cataclysmic eruptions, more powerful than any in the world's recorded history. The first caldera-forming eruption occurred about 2.1 million years ago. The eruptive blast removed so much magma from its subsurface storage reservoir that the ground above it collapsed into the magma chamber and left a caldera larger than the state of Rhode Island. The huge caldera measured as much as 50 miles long, 40 miles wide, and hundreds of meters deep, extending from outside Yellowstone National Park into the central area of the park. Scientists have revealed that Yellowstone Park has been on a regular eruption cycle of 600,000 years. The last eruption was 640,000 years ago, so the next is overdue. The next eruption could be 2,500 times the size of the 1980 Mount St. Helens eruption. Volcanologists have been tracking the movement of magma under the park and have calculated that in parts of Yellowstone the ground has risen over 0.7 of a metre this century. This means the magma is rising. Geologists have called for a task force to be set up to consider emergency management in the event of a massive volcanic eruption or super eruption. Experts say such an event would have a colossal impact on a global scale. The fallout from a super eruption could cause a volcanic winter, devastating global agriculture and causing mass starvation. One past super eruption struck at Toba in Sumatra 74,000 years ago and is thought by some to have driven the human race to the edge of extinction. Signs from DNA suggest human numbers could have dropped to about 10,000, probably as a result of the effects of climate change. The volcanic winter resulting from a super eruption could last several years or decades, depending on the scale of an eruption, and according to recent computer models, could cause cooling on a global scale by 5 to 10 degrees Celsius.
That is the end of section 4. You'll now have half a minute to check your answers.